Yo, what is going on guys? Alien ESP here, back in a video, and today we're talking about something which has been sending waves through the Pokemon community. You probably have seen it by the title and thumbnail, but today we are talking about Metazoo. If you don't know what Metazoo is, to be honest, I don't blame you. I'll explain it all in the main video. So yeah, let's get right into it, baby. So yeah guys, as did hear me say in the intro, today we are talking about Metazoo. If you don't know what Metazoo is, I don't blame you. It's got a bit of hype, but will it last? You're about to find out my opinion on everything. Is it a good card game and everything? So yeah, Metazoo. Did kind of just say what it was a bit. It's an up and coming card game, and a lot of people in the community, especially the Pokemon one, are talking about it. If we generalize the Pokemon community and like put it into a bigger group, it's quite a big thing within collectibles. I can't say I've seen a lot of mainstream attention of it over like being on the news. But yeah, I'm just getting right into it. So Metazoo is an up and coming card game, which I don't know when it plans to release. I think it will like release sometime this year. I think that's what I heard from someone. But for what I've seen from my own research, I can't find an exact date. If you guys have, let me know in the comments below. But as of today, of me recording this video, some of my videos, such as this one, are pre-recorded. Not all of them. A lot of them are recorded on the day, but some of the ones like this are pre-recorded. So yeah, if you do know a release date, let me know in the comments. So let's get right into it. Metazoo. It's a card game, a bit like Pokemon, you know. And one thing that I've seen that the creators want to say, he wants to have the collectability of Pokemon and the playability of Magic the Gathering, which I think is quite cool. And if it's done well, I think it'll be quite strong, you know. Pokemon, they are playable, but it's also extremely collectible, you know. We know Nintendo, Game Freak, and the Pokemon Company International really do like to cater towards the playability of these cards, but I think especially now with the boom in Pokemon, there are a lot more collectors, than there are players. Maybe, you know, there are a few factors which normally aren't here, which add to that. For example, Pokemon did boom in popularity, and most of the people in it are collectors. You know, a lot of them are here to make money. Unfortunately, we'll do a video on that in the future. And you know, the other variable being the global pandemic, and you can't play any actual playable games. You know, you can't go down to your local league. Before the pandemic, I loved going down to my local league. Plan on doing it as soon as it reopens. Got a great deck that I've built with the latest cards from the latest set, so I'm super excited to try that out when they open. If you guys want to see some of my great deck profiles, let me know in the comments below. I've got some pretty powerful ones, not gonna lie, and I do think they could win. They've won me a lot of games on the online game, and if you guys do want the deck profile, I will share it all with you, and I think that'll win you guys a lot of games too. Back to the point of this video. So what's the collectability of Pokemon and the playability of Magic? I'm not going to go too much into Magic. I barely know anything about it. I used to collect Yu-Gi-Oh, but I've never touched a pack of Magic the Gathering. However, in my local league, they have two floors. On the first floor is Pokemon, and when you go upstairs, like, you know, I do see a lot of people playing Magic the Gathering. So from what I've seen, you know, just a few glimpses, and I see them enjoying it as well, just like us Pokemon guys enjoying Pokemon. It does seem quite good. All I know is you've got Mana. There's that really expensive Black Lotus card, which is signed by some guy. I think his name's Chris. Don't know who Chris is, to be honest. But yeah, I know there's that card, and I've got like land cards. It's all I know about Magic, but yeah, I also do know it's very, very playable. So he's trying to combine the two factors, and if you can do that successfully, I think that will make for a very, very strong game, you know. If you've got a game which most people can enjoy, you know, casuals who just collect, then competitive players who like to play, go to tournaments, maybe win money if Metazoo grows that much, I think that would make Metazoo very strong. There's a card game very right up there with Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Magic. So that's one thing I like about what he's doing, you know. He's trying to like let as many people in this game as possible, which I personally think is always a good business model. I'm not a financial expert, I'm not a business expert, I'm not good at law either. You'll see why I mentioned law just now. But personally, you know, for what it sounds of it, if you've got a business which includes as many people as possible, that sounds like you'll get a good fair few bits of profit if you do it right. But is Metazoo doing right? You better find out. Personally, there are a few positives from Metazoo which I'll get into, and a lot of negatives. One thing the maker of Metazoo said, one thing he wants Metazoo to be is very available, which I'd love if Pokemon was a lot more available, you know. These days, if you do go into a supermarket, you probably won't find not Metazoo, you won't find Pokemon, you know. It's all sold out and everything because of the printing problems. So I guess that's his way of saying they're going to print a lot of Metazoo, you know, to like counteract that all the people buying up the collectible industry. So one example he did use was a child with his leftover lunch money going into like a Walmart, because he's American, going into a Walmart and not being able to buy any Pokemon with his leftover lunch money, which, you know, kind of nice, kind of sweet. But then he said later down the line that this game is made for adults, like Metazoo is a card game made for adults. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that example of the child going into his local Walmart and not being able to buy a pack of Metazoo and then saying this card game is made for adults, they don't really go together, you know, trying to put a jigsaw pieces that don't match together. Why using the example of a child when this card game is made for adults? Maybe he's using the child for sympathy, who knows, or maybe he regrets it, we don't really know. At the time of this recording, he hasn't really spoken about this. That's just one thing that I wanted to cover. This card game, Metazoo, its target demographic apparently is adults, which is contrary to Pokemon. I know a lot of adults are into Pokemon, that's fine. Any age range should be allowed to be into anything, you know. Got all these adults into Pokemon. I'm fine with that. I'm sure most of you guys are fine with that. Maybe some of you are adults. Let me know in the comments below. What age range are you? And like Pokemon's target demographic is children, you know. They've said that several times. You can kind of see that with what they do. You've got Pokemon Smile. That's made for kids and everything. But Metazoo, I'm sure if it does take off, you can't really like gatekeep ages from it. There's no way of him physically stopping children to be into it, you know. And I'm sure, you know, he won't really mind children being into it because it's just more money for him at the end of the day. But I just want to bring up that point. If his like point of the example of the child going to the Walmart doesn't really fit with his statement of that it's made for adults, but maybe he's retracted that by the time you guys are watching this. But as of me recording this today, he hasn't. That's why I'm bringing it up. Let's move on to the next point, alright? And it's just one thing I do want to say. Metazoo, all the hype of it, and I think this is a huge problem when it comes down to it, isn't actually about Metazoo. You may be wondering, what does that mean? If people are talking about Metazoo, it means Metazoo's got the hype. But no, not really. It's all compared to Pokemon, you know. So far from what I've seen, and what a lot of my friends I've spoke to about this also agree on me with this, all of its hype is from Pokemon, you know. Everyone who's into Metazoo is like, oh, this is the Pikachu. They're comparing everything in Metazoo to Pokemon. Why are you doing that? If Metazoo is such a strong brand, you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be like, this is the Ash Ketchum of it. You should be like, this is the protagonist of Metazoo. This is the best beast. I don't know what they call them, monsters maybe. All I know is they're not called Pokemon, otherwise they'd be sued. But yeah, they're not all the hype. Everything Metazoo's got going for it is just based off Pokemon, you know. Another thing I do want to talk about is if, like, I'm not saying Metazoo isn't strong. This isn't me slating Metazoo or whatever. If the person who owns Metazoo and's made it messages me on my Instagram, which you should all follow, by the way, I'm not going to be like scared, upset. I'd like to talk to him actually, you know, just maybe do a follow-up video to it, maybe with him, you know, go on Discord, me and him, just talk about a few things. But like, you know, all the characters, I don't really know any of the names. I know one character, which you guys are going to see why I'm going to mention that character a bit later. But if these characters were so strong, I feel like I'd remember them. Maybe that's because I'm such a big fan of Pokemon. All the characters I know and love are from Pokemon. I'm sure the huge Metazoo fans out there can name the main character and everything. But Metazoo isn't out yet, so I don't think it's got that fan base yet. Personally, I don't think saying it doesn't have a fan base isn't fair to say now, seeing as though the card game isn't actually out as of recording this. So that's just one point. All the hype from it seemed kind of artificial. It's not about Metazoo. It's all being compared to Pokemon. Who knows if this lasts. By the time this video goes up, Metazoo just could be a dead fad, you know. If no one's talking about Metazoo, I probably won't like upload this video. But yeah, so if you guys are seeing it, that means I've seen a few people talking about Metazoo online still. But yeah, that's another point I wanted to make. All the hype of it seems like artificially made by Pokemon, kind of. The next part I want to talk about, it links into what I said a bit earlier, that I'm not like a legal I'm not like I don't have a profession in law, you know. I'm just a kid at the end of the day who likes Pokemon, and I'm only talking about this because of the waves it's sending through the Pokemon community. Huge names in the Pokemon community have like spoke about this. You know, we've got SM Pratt, Squeaks Game World, sorry, but the biggest who's spoken about this, of course, is your boy Alien ESP. No, I'm joking. I'd love to be on their level one day, but I'm sure far from it. But yeah, the next part I want to talk about is the law about it. As I'm recording this video, this is the one thing which by the time you guys are seeing this video, I'm sure will be fixed. If it's not fixed, I think this is a huge problem. It's a huge problem now. Metazoo needs to fix this as soon as they can, alright? What is that problem? Or links to law. If you go on their website, there are no cookies, you don't see your terms and conditions, none of that stuff, alright? It's terrible. You may be wondering, why is that a big deal? No one reads the terms and conditions, no one reads the cookies anyway. It doesn't matter. The cookies and the terms and conditions are there for your safety. You may not know why, I'll tell you why now. Essentially, the whole point of cookies and that is it tells you where your data, if it's being stolen, if they're taking it, what they're going to do with it. We don't know. If you go onto Metazoo's website as of recording this video, there's nothing. You just go on the website, it's right there. You don't get told, we're going to take your data. We're not going to take your data. If we are taking your data, they don't know what you're taking and you don't know where they're sending it. They could be selling your search history to China. And I don't know, a lot of people aren't a fan of that. So yeah, that's another negative. And over in Europe, where I live in England, we have something called the GDPR. I'm not going to go too much into detail about the GDPR, mainly because I don't have a degree in all this finance, law and stuff, so I won't know the ins and outs of it. But essentially, it stands for the General Data Protection, right? I hope I got that right. If I didn't, one of my teachers will scream at me, because we're currently doing that in school. But yeah, I hope it means you've got to protect the people kind of with their data. And essentially you can't be using it for other things. You can't alter their data, you know. You can't, if they buy something from your website, you then can't use their credit card, you know, go in their bank account. I'm sure you all know that. That's like, you know, you can't look in their search history and publish it all. It's illegal at the end of the day. And they're not publishing if they're taking your data, which they legally have to, especially here in Europe where we do have the GDPR. I'm not sure how it works in America. I'm sure in America you do have a law like that in place, but I'm not an expert on it. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I'm sure a lot of you guys may know. Let me know in the comments if you know a lot about this stuff. But yeah, that's just one of the huge points from this video, that it's not safe, you know. I've only visited this website once. When I did visit it, it was on an incognito tab, just so I know my search history isn't being stolen. There's nothing bad in there. I don't know. Just stop, guys. Before you go in the comments and scream at me, there's nothing bad in my search history. But I just don't want them looking at my data anyway, because I don't know what they would look at. There's nothing bad in there, as I just said, but it's private anyway, you know. I'm sure most people have nothing bad in their search history, but they still don't want you going through it, because privacy at the end of the day. That's another point I just wanted to raise, you know. It's just like illegal, and that's, yeah. On to the next point, and this is probably the biggest point of this video apart from that legal one which I've just mentioned. That legal one is probably fixed by the time you're watching this. I can imagine a lot of people have mentioned this online, and Metazoo probably wanted to be on that as quickly as possible, because that could get them in a lot, and I mean a lot of trouble, you know, not disclosing if they're taking your data and everything. But this next point could also possibly get them in a lot of trouble with Pokemon. You may be wondering what this is, and it links into another thing I said earlier. And what is that? Well, earlier I did say I know one character from Metazoo. I don't know his name. I'm not interested in learning his name. We're going to call him Giovanni. Why are we going to call him Giovanni? Because in Pokemon we've got a character called Giovanni. I'm sure you all know who Giovanni in Pokemon is. If you don't, it's one of Pokemon's characters, right? It's a Pokemon character. Pokemon originally designed this character. He was in the Gen 1 games. He was the main villain from Gen 1. So this guy's been around since 1999. And why am I stressing on that? It's Pokemon's character and that he's been around for ages and that Pokemon own him. Well, in Metazoo, they have a character whose name is quite similar to Giovanni, and he looks very, very similar. I'm sure you all know what Giovanni looks like, you know. He is the villain of Team Rocket, you know, he owns it after all. He wears his suit, we all know, his iconic black suit. He's got his Persian. And essentially, this character from Metazoo, same haircut as Giovanni, you know, the flat black one. This character from Metazoo, I don't think owns a cat. That's one good sign, you know. He doesn't have a pet like Giovanni, but he looks identical to him. If you were to put a picture of both of them on, like, if you wouldn't probably be able to tell, I'm sure a lot of, Giovanni's obviously. This Metazoo character looks very, very similar to Giovanni, both wearing the same clothes, both in the same pose with one hand in their pocket, the other just sticking out, They both look like gangsters who own evil, illegal corporations. Maybe Metazoo's an evil, illegal corporation, who knows? Only the future will say. But yeah, that's another thing, we know Pokemon love and do this all the time. Pokemon are going to protect their brand, their name, their IP, whatever you want to call it. They'll protect their characters, which they originally made, to the death. If someone steals Pikachu, they're going to probably get sued. You take Charizard, you're going to get sued. Even if you take a Pokemon which isn't very popular, for example Croagunk, doesn't matter. Pokemon have the copyright on Croagunk and every other thing they own, They probably have copyright on the names and stuff like Equitique City. I don't know the ins and outs of that. You can copyright a name, obviously, but I don't know if they'd have copyright on that. I assume they would, because they did come up there at the end of the day. But the same thing goes to their character Giovanni. These two characters look very similar. Thankfully, Metazoo's character isn't called Giovanni, but it's beside the point. It looks very similar. I think, this person who owns Metazoo came out and said, we've been inspired by Pokemon. I think you've been a lot more than inspired by Pokemon, mate. I'm talking directly to you. The maker of Metazoo, if you're watching this, please message me on my Instagram or leave a comment. I'd love to discuss this with you further. I'm not having a go at you. I'm not going to have a go at you in the DMs if you do, reply. I just want to know you, not get to know you on a personal level, as in just, talk to you about this. What are your feelings about this? I know a lot of people in the Pokemon community have also raised this point I just said about the characters looking very similar, so I'd love to know your response. You don't have to respond to me directly. Maybe you could put a tweet out or a blog out, I'm not looking for the fame and clout off this. I just want to have the answer at the end of the day. But yeah, so you can go to someone else, maybe someone bigger in the Pokemon community has a bigger reach and I can tell more people about that. I'd be fine with that. I'd probably hear it anyway. I just want to know the answer to that question. Why do they look so similar? I think it's quite dodgy as well, saying you have been inspired by Pokemon with this card game. So yeah, that's what the second last point I do want to make about Metazoo is that the characters, that one in particular, I'm not saying all of them, his main character, the one he's comparing to Pikachu, doesn't look anything like Pikachu. This is just like the off one from what I've seen. It's just that one of Pokemon's characters and one of his characters from Metazoo, they look quite similar. On to the next point. And that is that he's doing this artificial scarcity. What does that mean, artificial scarcity? Well, with Pokemon, let's look at the base set booster boxes. You've got the first edition print run of base set, right? That's the rarest one, It was the first one, and I do believe it was the least printed one, the shortest print. Then you've got Shadowless, which is the middle one, the second print run of base set. And finally, you've got Unlimited. I do believe, from what I've heard and seen by a lot of reputable people in the hobby, Unlimited was the largest and the most common print run of the Pokemon base set. Why am I bringing this up? Well, if we look at the Metazoo boxes that we've seen so far, we've got first edition ones. We haven't seen the other print runs because the first print runs only happened. The game isn't out at the end of the day. But why am I making such a big deal of there being a first edition box? Well, he's creating this artificial scarcity, hoping that later down the line, maybe 10, 15, 20, 25 years, people will pay more for these first edition boxes. He's already thinking about how much money he can make later down the line, and he's not focusing on building his brand, building his IP now. That's a very big problem. If I was building a brand, personally, I wouldn't be thinking how much are these original pieces going to be worth in years. You've got to make this brand reputable so that people still care about it later down the line. If no one cares about Metazoo in 10, 15, 20, 25 years, doesn't matter how long, people aren't going to pay the amount they're paying for Pokemon boxes now. The reason why Pokemon boxes from 1999 go for so much is that Pokemon's got that backing at the end of the day. Pokemon has built itself to the point where it can do that. The interest has lived long for the 25 years of this amazing hobby, hence why it's still going. But if Metazoo doesn't make it to its 20th anniversary, no one's going to pay $250,000 for a first edition base set box. of his Metazoo game, and that's why he's probably put the first edition stamp on, to create that, oh, this is the rarest print run. The next print run's not going to have that stamp, so it's not going to be as valuable. So like the real collectors, if there are any, who knows, if this is all hype, you're not going to see this video. As I said, I will only post this video if, I still see people online talking about it by the time this video is ready to go out. So yeah, that's another point I do want to make, that he's trying to create this artificial scarcity that the first print run will be worth more, which, with like big things with Pokemon, I totally agree on. If we look at Yu-Gi-Oh as well, your first edition Legends of Blue Eyes boxes go for more than the normal normal Legends of Blue Eyes boxes, which is fine. I expect that. I'm not saying that shouldn't happen. The genuine collectors of a hobby which they enjoy will want like the original more. They're probably willing to spend more money on that, so of course, but if you're not going to build the fan base there in the first place, you're kind of just wasting your time at that point. And obviously he's going to try to build this fan base. No one starts a business hoping not to build a loyal fan base or customer base if it's not a product with recognisable things. For example, hairdressers don't have fans, they have customers. It's different, but the point is every business wants to have their reputable and loyal customers or fans behind them no matter what they do. And if Metazoo doesn't manage to do this, their first edition boxes aren't going to be aren't going to go up as much in the future, if at all. So yeah, that's one problem I've got with it, that he's trying to make it worth loads of money in the future, but he's not thinking about the now, You've got to think about the now, because if you don't think about the now, if he messes up, if he gets sued by Pokemon for copying one of his designs, or if he gets sued for the illegal laws, both of those I've covered previously in this video, and you guys have seen it, obviously, if you're at this point, that's going to be a very, very big problem. But yeah, that's all for me. I do believe those are all the points that I've got against Metazoo. I've seen a few people online covering their own points by making his own marketplace. But personally, I don't like to do that. If like Squeak's Game World, he said a lot more points in his video than I did in this one. But I'm not going to take his points now. All the points that I've said in this video and all my other talking videos are my points now. I've came up with them. So I'm not going to go steal his points just because he'll make the video a bit longer. Possibly better. I don't think you can get better from this though. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you thought of this video. Do you think Metazoo will last? Do you think it's just like another fad? Personally, referring back to my first point, all the hype is just artificially made off Pokemon, and that's the reason why I do not believe Metazoo will make it. I'm surprised they'll make it if it actually launches. Well, no, I think he'll launch it, but I doubt they'll make any more than 5 sets. If they do that, if Metazoo becomes the next Pokemon, I'll be the first guy to sit down on this chair, put the camera up and apologise and say I was wrong. But at the moment, from everything I've seen, I do believe that Metazoo will not make it to where he's hoping. I know that may sound a bit harsh, but that's just my opinion, so let me know in the comments below, what do you think? But yeah, that's all for me in today's video. I've been Alien ESP, you've been fantastic viewers, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.